Good day, and we are Group 4, and we will be talking about avant-garde, experimentation in the form of Impressionism, Post-Impressionism, Fauvism, Pointillism, Futurism, and Cubism. Search for meaning in art of Expressionism, Dadaism, Surrealism, Abstract Expressionism, and Pop art. To discuss the different art and artists in avant-garde, we should first know the beginning of avant-garde. Of avant-garde is said to begin in the 1850s, with the realism of Gustave Courbet, who was strongly influenced by early socialist ideas. It's followed by the successive movement of modern art, and the term avant-garde is more or less synonymous with modern. Some avant-garde movements, for example, Cubism, focus mainly on innovations of form, futurism, and surrealism. Although the term avant-garde was originally applied to innovative approaches to art, making in the 19th and early 20th centuries, it is applicable to all art that pushes the boundaries of ideas and creativity. I am Ralph Andre Cruz, and I will be talking about Impressionism. The history of Impressionism, famous art and artists in Impressionism, the techniques, and the hermeneutics. Impressionism, born in France in the early 1860s and only lasted in 1880s. The movement known as Impressionism marked the first total artistic revolution in Renaissance. Impressionism departed from the tradition by rejecting the perspective of Renaissance, such as balanced composition, idealized figures, and chiaroscuro. Instead, the Impressionists represented immediate visual sensations through color and light. The goal of Impressionism was to present an impression, or the initial sensory perceptions recorded by an artist in a brief glimpse. The Impressionist dabs of pure color side by side looked unintelligible, causing critics to charge they fired paint on the canvas with a pistol. The eye fused separate streaks of blue and yellow, for instance, into green, making each hue seem intensified rather than mixing on a palette. Impressionism arose around in 1862 when Renoir, Monet, Bazille, and Sisley were students in the same Parisian studio. The three have common interest in painting nature out of doors. When urged by a teacher to draw from antique casts, the young rebels dropped formal coursework. "Let's go out here," Monet said. "This place is unhealthy." Painting from start to finish using light and color in the open air was their modus operandi. The work of the Impressionists was considered as seditious, that the art critics were becoming cruel. The original cast of the first Impression period was Monet, Manet, Renoir, Degas, Pissarro, Sisley, Morisot, and Casot. Their subjects are outdoors, seaside, Parisian streets, and cafes. Their purpose is to portray immediate visual sensations of a scene. One of the famous Impressionism artists is Claude Monet. Claude Monet believes that light is color. He once said that he wished he had been born blind and then gained his sight so he could, without preconceptions, truly paint what he saw. Monet began as a commercial artist and a caricaturist. At age 18 when he began to paint out of doors. After roaming the coast of Normandy, painting sunlit and water-drenched scenes, he became a leading exponent of recording nature directly, to give his immediate impression to a given moment. After studying landscapes by Constable and Turner in London, Monet contributed Impression Sunrise to the first Impressionist exhibit in 1874. After a half-century, the original group evolved their own variations on the theme. Monet remained true to the credo that light is color. In 1869, a visitor reported that Monet was desperate. Monet's life of poverty during 1860s and 70s are for sure Monet's downfall. But in 1886, things were different. At the Impressionist first New York exhibit, Monet was an established success and could afford to build a special studio to house his huge canvases. The outdoors became Monet's studio, regardless of the weather. He even hauled 30 canvases to the field to record haystacks, replacing one canvas with the next as the light changed. Monet's lifelong fervor for open-air painting appeared when he painted Woman in the Garden. As early as 1866, the canvas was more than 8 feet high. Monet's obsession in art includes his first wife's death, where he could not resist on painting that he painted his own wife at her deathbed. Moving on with the techniques, this will answer the question, what does Impressionist art look like? And how Impressionism art be an optical illusion? Monet's style consisted of applying small dabs of pigment to the canvas corresponding on his immediate visual observation. He placed vibrating spots of different colors side by side, in an effect called optical mixing. These broken colors blended at a distance.
To represent shadows, instead of black, Monet added a complementary color to the hue of the object, casting a shadow. For example, yellow to purple, where yellow is a primary color and the complementary color is purple. It is a mixture of warm colors such as the yellow and a cool color which is the purple.
Edward Manet, Music in the Tuileries, 1862. Female nudes were often the subjects of Manet. What set Manet apart from his contemporaries was that he had a unique style of painting. He also did not attend any Impressionist exhibitions in Paris. Manet preferred to capture everyday life and common objects in his paintings. Cafes and bars of Paris, the city and the urban life, the street and its people, beggars, singers, workers were common in Manet's paintings. Critics comment on his work that it looks unfinished. His brush strokes were loose and therefore some parts of the canvas were not properly covered. The quick visible brush strokes seem to some to indicate that the painting was not finished. But it is a true representation of what the Tuileries Garden were like, crowded and full of noise. Pierre-Auguste Renoir, Pont-Neuf, 1872. Capturing the modernity and leisure of Parisian life was Pierre-Auguste Renoir's focal point. He had a special eye for beauty and his skills as a colorist. His works were full of life and vibrant colors featuring well-dressed Parisian people enjoying their life. Renoir incorporated his new approach and thought in his paintings, which was evident in the multicolored strokes and bright atmosphere. Among other Impressionist painters who preferred to work with landscapes, it was Renoir's fascination with human figures that sets him apart. After discussing the history, famous art and artists, Claude Monet, the techniques and obsession of Claude Monet, now we're moving on to the hermeneutics. World behind the text. Impressionism was a radical art movement that began in the late 1800s. Impressionists rebelled against classical subject matter and embraced modernity. Uniting them was a focus on how light could define a moment in time, with color providing definition instead of black lines. The Impressionists emphasized the practice of plein air painting, or painting outside. Initially derided by critics, Impressionism has since been embraced as one of the most popular and influential art styles in Western history. World of the Text. Impression Sunrise by Claude Monet. It depicts the port of Le Havre, in France, where Monet grew up. It is one of a series of paintings based on Le Havre, painted around the same time. The focus of this painting is almost entirely on color and light. The brushwork is loose, the detail is simple and the composition is fairly basic. But the use of color to depict light is enough to make this painting work. The color of the boat with the men on it is green, where it makes a shadow where the green color is complementary color on the color orange of the sun that hits the boat and the men on the boat that results a shadow illusion. Again, most of the painting is made up of dull oranges, blues, and greens.
which formed the backdrop of the dark green boats and the vivid orange sunrise. World before the text. In its day, Impressionism was considered a radical departure from tradition. Looking back, we can see that Impressionism was more than a departure. It changed the very nature of the way people think about art today. The Impressionists created a model of our freedom and subjectivity that promoted artistic freedom that which many artists of the long past long for. Their example empowered later artists that took it much further than they did. Exegesis. When the Impressionists began painting, ideals of art were not controlled, but also looked down upon and rejected by academic institutions such as the French Academy of Fine Arts and the Salon, which had great power over the careers of artists. Even through the hardships, the Impressionists did not give up on the art that they believed in.